This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Monday, January 19th, 2009, and this is episode 515 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hodgford of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, Matt. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Also joining us on today's show is Annette Owens, the Manager of Customer Relations and Group Services. Welcome, Annette.
Hi, guys. Nice to be here.
On today's show, before we get started, I just want to mention a couple things. First of all, I want to remind all of our listeners about our next live show, which is actually going to be on Sunday, January 25th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Our live shows are great opportunities for you to listen live on the internet via Mouse World Radio to a, live show. You call in. Any listeners can obviously listen, but you can also call in with a question or comment, and you get to interact with it. It's basically like we're recording a show, which will be available for download later, but you get to be part of it. It's a live, interactive experience. It's a lot of fun. We have a chat room going. Sometimes we have our webcams going. It's a real interesting experience. I encourage all of you to tune in. It'll be on Sunday, January 25th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. All the details on how to tune in, how to join the chat room, all that information is really easy, will be on wdwtoday.com, so be sure to check that out. On today's show, we're going to be talking about deluxe resorts, and I thought it's a little bit different than what we've talked about them before, because a lot of times we obviously mentioned deluxe resorts in passing, really, but I want to talk about and focus on deluxe resorts going to a deluxe resort, because I think a lot of people don't really go to deluxe resorts. I think many of our listeners are people who stay at typically value and moderate resorts. I mean, there's the DVC members, but that's a little bit different. But generally speaking, value and moderate resorts if you're paying out of pocket. And the jump, quote unquote, to a deluxe resort can be kind of daunting. I mean, it kind of seems like it's on a different echelon, if you will. So before we get into the actual resorts themselves, I wanted to kind of give a overview of the differences between, say, like a moderate resort, which I think many of our listeners are familiar with, and the deluxe resort level. And then I think you'd be the perfect person to start with on this, because you obviously deal with booking many people who have made this jump before. And if you could think of the ones, I know there's many of them, but if you could pick one singular difference between a value or a moderate resort and a deluxe resort, what would it be?
Just one?
What's the big one that comes to mind? The one that always, that's the big difference right there.
The big one for me is a lot of times is the locations of your deluxe resorts. They're right outside of Epcot, right there at the Magic Kingdom, right near Animal Kingdom. So the location can be the biggest selling point for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree. Obviously, the monorail resorts are well documented. I think everybody knows the most about those resorts simply because they're near the Magic Kingdom. And it's no doubt that one of the huge benefits of staying over there is your ability to be so close to the Magic Kingdom and have that access to it, because you have the old monorail line that brings you right over there, so you don't even have to deal with the TTC or buses or anything like that. And that can be a big deal. You also mentioned the Boardwalk. And the Boardwalk resorts, of which there are 3 deluxe resorts in the Boardwalk area over there, they're all well-themed, obviously, but they have that – there's so much to do in that small, confined area that it really makes it it's real advantage to you, don't you think?
Oh, I think so. You've got you have a nightclub area there. I mean, you've got the Jelly Rolls, you've got some ESPNs there, there's some bars, there's some restaurants, but you have a whole circle. Instead of a monorail, you now have a circle walkway where you can go from Yacht Club and Beach Club over the boardwalk, and there's lots to see, lots to do. Yeah,
I never considered that. The monorail resort is a circle, and the boardwalk area is really a circle when you think about it. If you look at it on overhead, that's interesting. And I think the location is, like anything, it's location. So certainly that's part of the big selling point, is being so close. And, I think one of the things that Mike Scopo always mentions on this show is, how much is your time worth to you? And for some people, having unfettered access to the Magic Kingdom or to Epcot and the studios or even Animal Kingdom really is a big deal, especially if your family is the type of family that is interested in particular one of those parks, like a young family that's really interested in spending a lot of time at the Magic Kingdom, or perhaps a family that is a little bit more mature and is looking to spend a lot of time at Epcot or even the studios.
Right. A good thing, too, with like the monorail resorts, we get this a lot, is, you have young families where mom might be going back with the little one, but dad's going to stay with maybe big brother and big sister. That's when they start looking for that monorail resort, because then mom can just take a quick monorail ride back to the resort. Yeah. Baby can go down for a nap and then come back and join the rest of the family later in the day.
Absolutely. Now, in addition to location, I really think one of the things that really makes the deluxe resort stand out from the other resorts is the theme. Obviously, Disney is one of the things that they always focus on is the theme of their attractions, of their theme parks, and as well as their resorts. I think the deluxe resorts are definitely a step above the theming that you'll find at the value or moderate resorts. And I mean, you look no further than the Polynesian Resort, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Wilderness Lodge, even the Grand Floridian. It's just wonderfully, wonderfully decorated, and it really sells the theme so much better than the other resorts. Not take anything away from the value or moderates, but I really think that there is a night and day difference. Newell, you've stayed primarily, I know, at value and moderate resorts, but you have had experience staying at deluxe resorts. Tell us a little bit about your experience staying at a deluxe.
Well, my very first deluxe stay was just this past Mouse Fest. I stayed at the Beach Club, and that was the first time I actually stayed at a deluxe by choice. Anyway,
what stood out to you for that?
Oh my God, it was the one thing that stood out is that after such a long day of Mouse Fest, I mean, being on your feet for 12 hours or 14 hours, and we're in World Showcase in Epcot, and it's so drilled into me that I have to go back to the main parking lot and then get in the car and then drive back to Key West, which really isn't such a big deal. But that night, I was just like, oh my God, I'm staying at the Beach Club. I could just walk. I'm 5 minutes from my room. And it was just such a nice feeling.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, it's knowing that it's not having that thought in the back of your head like, oh, I got to go take this bus and wait probably for 20 minutes on the bus to get to my resort, wherever it may be. And being centrally located, I mean, look, it's definitely a perk, and I think that Disney does a good job. They don't put the deluxe resorts on the fringe of property for a reason. They keep them where they are, and that is a huge difference. I know the first time that I stayed at the Polynesian Resort, I actually stayed at the Polynesian Resort the first time because it was Mouse Fest 07, and Annette was hosting a meet at the Tonga Toast meet at like 7 a.m. And I think my wife told me, she says, I'm not waking up that early unless we're staying at the Polynesian. So we bumped up to the Polynesian for one night, for that reason. But
just for breakfast.
Just breakfast. But I mean, wow, that resort. That's one of the reasons the Polynesian really, to me, is quintessential Disney resorts, and that's the quintessential deluxe resort because it's so well themed. It has such rich flavor to it. It has such a distinct feel to it that the deluxe resorts, I think, in my estimation, do the best job of making you actually believe you're where the resort is themed after. You know what I mean? Because when you step foot in that Polynesian lobby or you step foot in that Animal Kingdom lobby, it's hard. It's very convincing feeling that you are somewhere in the South Pacific or you're somewhere in Eastern Africa or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the Polynesian is the best for me. I think that you go in there and you walk in that lobby and you just feel like I'm no longer at Disney. I've just come from the Magic Kingdom and now I'm in the tropics. I mean, it really does a great job, and I think overall the rooms there just blew me away.
Absolutely. And something that I wanted to talk about to Newell about this. One of the things, I mean, the Polynesian, going back to the Polynesian, and even Animal Kingdom, all of them really do a good job of this. But the music that they play in the background, I think it's hard. Like the All-Star Resort, they play contemporary music of the past 20, 30 years. Pop, same idea, depending on which area you're in. I think the Port Orleans resorts do a decent job of it, but really the music and really adds to what you find at the deluxe resorts. Like that, there's a few Polynesian tracks which just are, it does such a good job of selling it. If only, you could actually look out your window and see, well, there's a white sand beach out there, but if you could see I don't know, the Pacific Ocean. I mean, that's the only thing that's missing, really.
Yeah, it's so true. Music, I mean, to me, is half the whole experience. I can go a few years back where, we were staying at Key West, and then one year, I think it was in the late 90s at some point, they changed the soundtrack, and they weren't playing the Calypso music anymore. They were playing this, I don't know, standard type music, and I'm sitting there, and somebody else pointed it out to me, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel the same, and had nothing to do with the theming of the resort, and it totally knocked it off balance, and they've since returned. It's not the original track, but it's something similar, and the Calypso music is somewhat back, and it just adds so much to the whole experience, and it's not even something you notice it, but when it's not there, that's when you pick up on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the resort that does a really good job, and I hear so much about it, is the Wilderness Lodge, especially in the lobby. The epic, moving Western themes they play there, like music from The Last of the Mohicans, How the West Was Won, Silverado, Wyatt Earp. I mean, these are they're epic, kind of like in the same vein as Soarin', if you will, but that kind of rustic feel to it, if that makes any sense. And these are songs that I can just sit in that lobby and just hear it all day. What are your thoughts about the Wilderness Lodge and the type of music you can hear there?
Oh, it's the same thing. Like I said, you don't really. It's on in the background and it's there for a reason. You're not really supposed to focus on it. You just know it's there, but it adds to the excitement and it adds. It's almost like a smell. Like if you walked in, you smell a good smell. It's kind of like that. It's something you don't notice it unless it's wrong or it's bad. And
that's right. Good.
It's just there for a purpose, and it does that one thing when you walk in, and that sense in your brain picks up on the music. You're like, wow, this is really cool, and it adds to the sight that you actually what you're seeing. The music adds to that, and it just enhances it.
I think it's a great point, Mike.
It's kind of funny you talk about the smells and stuff, though, for Wilderness Lodge, because if you come in late in the afternoon and you've got the music going, you've got you're surrounded by the lodge itself. It's so overpowering when you walk in, but then you have the yeehaw from over at the Whispering Canyon come through, and the accents from the gals and guys in the restaurant. That kind of adds to the excitement and the feel of it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I stepped foot in Wilderness Lodge. Animal Kingdom Lodge is similar; they're very similarly built. But I remember the first time I stepped foot in Wilderness Lodge, and I was totally blown away by the scope of the entire lobby because it is immense. If you've never stepped foot in there, I highly recommend you take a trip just to step foot in that lobby and walk around in there, because it's just, you don't really get a sense for how large it is and how grand. And it really, again, this is when you step foot in there, you get that feeling like, yeah, this is a deluxe resort. This is the difference. You can instantly tell that you've moved up, and this is not your, the typical resort that you may have stayed at in the past. Another category I think that really separates deluxe resorts is the amenities you're going to find there, and the activities and the recreation options. The value resorts have little to none. They have pools. That's about it. And the moderates have more pools and a few other things depending on the resort you're at. But really, the deluxe resorts do a great job of providing their own in-house entertainment. I often say that when I'm at a deluxe resort, I only stay there really at this point because unless Len's paying for it. If I know that I'm going to be spending time not in the parks, but I'm going to have time to actually spend at the resort, because it's almost a destination in itself in terms of how many activities and different things there are to do over there. Annette, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, definitely. If you're going to take a day or two and just want to lounge by the pool, the beach club, yacht club, that's definitely where you want to go, because you could spend a whole day at that pool. It's going to it's like going to a water park. And you have your room right nearby, which is always, real nice. And I think that's something about the deluxe resorts that's different, definitely sets it apart, steps away from the moderate. When you're at a moderate, the resort is spread out, and it's so large. So you may be in one building, but have to walk a long way to the pool with a slide for your kid. When you're at a deluxe resort, it's not that spread out.
That's a great point.
It's not a long walk to the main pool, and there's another pool, but there's, it's not that long walk to the main building or to the activities.
Well, let's talk about the specific resorts themselves, because each has a unique attribute to it. And I thought we could talk about what we think the one attribute, that the real one thing that sucks you into this one particular resort is, because what Disney really does is they built their resorts to be differentiated from each other. So it's not just, they're not interchangeable. You don't have one, if you've stayed at one deluxe resort, you haven't stayed at them all. And first one, a very unique one, I think you're all going to guess what this one probably is Animal Kingdom Lodge. And for me, I think if you stay at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, you have to stay in a Savannah View room, because otherwise you're just wasting your money over there. I think the ability to walk out on your veranda and watch the animals from your window is unparalleled. It is an attraction in itself. I know that the next time we stay there, I want to make sure that it's going to be at a time where I have friends or family that are going to be around that have young children, because for them to be able to come into the room and have a look at the giraffes that are passing by and just watch the animals, it is a show in itself.
Yeah, there's nothing like waking up first thing in the morning to open up the curtains to see which animal's right there.
Oh yeah, I remember when I first stayed there the first time a couple Mouse Fests ago. I stayed in '06. Actually, I was there and we saw all the different animals. And it was really cool. And we were like, oh, when are the giraffes going to come by? When are the giraffes going to come by? We hadn't seen them. And I think the last night we were there, it was like right in the middle of the night, and we were like almost getting ready for bed, and we went out one last time to go check out what's going on, and the giraffes came by, and it was just I just wish we had spent more time in the resort just sitting over there watching the animals, because it really is an amazing experience, because it's like being on safari but all the time, but having the lovely stuff that you have in your room. Moving on to the next, we kind of lumped the Beach Club, Yacht Club, and Boardwalk in together, because I think the one thing that we're all going to agree upon as number one attribute, and Annette, I'll let you take this one, but I think we're all going to agree on what it probably is.
Well, for me, it's being right there at Epcot.
Yeah, the location.
To go in. The location is what it is. Again, for Beach Club and Yacht Club, if you're going to take that day or two, I'd say the pool. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, the location is such a huge amenity, and you got to you're either going to say the location is number one with an honorable mention to the pool, or vice versa, because the pool, which Stormalong Bay, is amazing. It's a sand bottom pool over there, and this is this just blows away other pools. After you go back to like the Port Orleans pool or a pop pool, I mean, it's just like what is this? Plastic. What is this stuff? You feel like you're almost in exile from that place, because it's such a different and unique experience. And that's going to be a word I think that's going to highlight a lot of the resorts we're talking about, the deluxe, unique, because they offer unique things over there for you. Mike, would you agree that what would you put ahead of it, the location or the pool?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question, but I think I would go with the location more. And it was a shame that, staying there in Mousefest at the Beach Club, I never even once went to the pool.
Missed out.
I know, but that's the nature of Mousefest, is that the room really doesn't really come into play because you're not there enough.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing though that you are a big fan of at the Yacht and Beach Club, Mike, is the
oh my God,
the room service over there happens to come directly from Beaches and Cream.
Well, the hamburgers anyway.
Yeah.
The best room service burgers.
Oh my God. Yeah. We ate. I think we had. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 3 nights in a row we had Beach Club burgers.
That's just sad. That's Mousefest.
Yeah, but we didn't have ADRs. We couldn't really find a decent place at the last minute to go grab something to eat, and you're in a rush. So back to the room, pick up the phone. A couple burgers later, we're gone.
Absolutely, that's a good story for another time. On the live show, someone should call in on the 25th and ask about about our experience with burgers.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole story for that. Grand Floridian. Annette, what do you think is the main pull here at the Grand Floridian?
I think for most people, the pull there is they've seen every little TV show record an episode there.
That's so
and they
true.
Want to stay there. I mean, really, everybody has. I mean, and if you go there, you're going to see a bride. You're going to see a wedding. I think a lot of people, that's been the pull. They think that's, it is.
It's so regal.
It's so regal. It's so Mary Poppins-esque. It's like the Grand Poopah. Everybody wants to stay there. The location's great. You're getting on the monorail. You're right at the Magic Kingdom. You've got that great view. I don't know what else to say. It really is. There's great pools there. The concierge service there is great.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you, Annette, that the regalness, that expectation of I mean, they have an orchestra in the lobby over there that usually plays most of the day over there, and it just adds that. Or this isn't recorded music like we talked about in the other resorts. I mean, this is like, this is the real deal. They got a whole orchestra, their own orchestra playing over there, and this is like that's just one example of the type of what's waiting for you over there. And I think that is, like you said, that's the expectation. Well, I would not personally list the Grand Floridian as the best resort in my opinion at Walt Disney World, but that being said, I do think it is certainly the most elegant one out of them. And it's certainly, if you've got a special occasion, like you want to celebrate a really special anniversary or something, I mean, it's hard to argue with the Grand Floridian. But the one that I think you can't argue with, though, is got to be the Polynesian. That one is, I mean, it's hard for a lot of people to compare the Grand Floridian and the Polynesian in terms of, which is your favorite. But the Polynesian is definitely a great resort. Newell, what do you think is the big attraction at the Polynesian, the one big pull at the Poly?
Wow. I think the view of the Magic Kingdom.
Absolutely.
The beach. I think that's one of the reasons why that's my goal, is to stay at the Polynesian at some point.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I go back to is what I said earlier about it, is that the theme to it. I mean, it's just so well done. I mean, in terms of, if you had to grade how Disney did with the implementing the theme to a particular resort, the Polynesian has to be the gold level standard. I mean, the A+ to that, because that one is just exactly what you expect. I mean, it's just so wonderfully themed. I mean, they give you lays when you check in.
Yeah.
It really feels like you're, either in Hawaii or some other South Pacific island, because it's just so well done. And for me, that alone, I mean, the pool has a friggin' volcano in the middle of it. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
And it's amazing because that was one of the first hotels to come online. And here we are almost 40 years later, and it still holds its theme.
A great point.
I was going to say the same thing, Mike. It's just there's something about knowing that you're going and staying in a hotel that Walt Disney said, this is where I want this one here.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something about that that's kind of cool, that in the Contemporary. But also the rooms are a little bigger. They're a little bigger in the Polynesian. You're gonna have a little more space.
Absolutely. Let's wrap this up with the Wilderness Lodge. We talked about the lobby over there, and I really enjoy the theme over there. There's some people that are really big fans of it, like Fred Block, who love the Wilderness Lodge, for the different things, the different theme that it has from all the other ones. And it really does feel, like you are in the backwoods somewhere, because it's just tucked away a little bit from the Magic Kingdom enough in those woods, and it really does feel like you are in some, one of the hunting lodges of of the Northwest or something. Mm-hmm. Annette, what's the big pull for you for the Wilderness Lodge?
For me, I think it's your first step from moderate into deluxe. And it's getting you right there on the edge of the Magic Kingdom. You're there. It's a short boat ride away, and it makes for a different experience than hopping on a bus and getting everywhere by bus. For me, that's it. It's getting just a little close to the Magic Kingdom, but maybe not spending what I would have to go somewhere else. Yeah,
another classic example at the Wilderness Lodge of wonderful theme over here. I mean, look no further than the lobby. Wonderfully well done. It's a great resort to go explore. A lot of these are great resorts to explore, but the Wilderness Lodge, among others, really sits atop in terms of that exploration level, because there's so much to see and do over here. So definitely be sure to check that out if you've got a free afternoon or you arrive late, but you don't want to waste a day. Great opportunity for you to explore this and any of the deluxe resorts. Really, they have that much detail to them. Well, that's it for us today. Want to find more of our episodes? Listen to our show notes or send us your comments. Visit the WDW Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, and the fabulous Annette Owens, I'm Matt Hotchberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.